And it just so happened that we had arranged to be here at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office several weeks ago, and it was just about 2 weeks ago or so that video of an arrest that just went viral, and William McNeil Jr., who is now in the public conscious, both locally and nationally, has happened. I'll give this man credit because he didn't say, hey, the heat's a little too heavy right now, let's reschedule. The Sheriff of Jacksonville, Sheriff TK Waters, says, come on in. And so here we are, live in location at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And while there is litigation, and we do need to qualify that there's going to be likely litigation, there are certain things that you can't say. First off, thank you for their transparency and allowing us to come in today. Can you kind of talk us through where you're at right now with this investigation up until the point where you can't say anything because of the litigation situation?
Sure. So first things first, it was extremely important, whether someone agrees with me or not. It's extremely important for our agency to be as transparent as possible. So when I found out about that, 5 months later after the incident actually happened, I was sitting in church on the church pew on Sunday morning, and I saw a text from the undersheriff. And immediately, as soon as I got out, I called. I said, let's get the team on it, and let's see what happened. Let's pull the body cam video, and let's get that out to the public as quickly as possible. Because it's very important to add context to anything that you see. I can show you a small clip of just about anything and make you think a certain way. We had some discussion with our state attorney, which is the first stop. And I tell people this all the time, the first stop is whether we committed a criminal violation, right? And that's our first stop. We get there, come out that day, show the information to our public and let our public know what's going on, and then we go from there. There's an administrative process, which slows me down from releasing information at that point. A police officer, contrary to popular belief, and for some reason there are people out there that don't think that a policeman deserves, or a police officer or woman deserves due process. Well, they still do. And there's laws that prevent us from commenting on the administrative part of the investigation, but that's going on. That's actually going on right now. I stay out of it as much as possible because I want to make sure that whatever's done is done without any pressure from me wanting them to lean a certain way. Don't want that to happen. When it's finished, they bring that investigative to me and the undersheriff. They tell us what they found, and then I can either disagree with it or agree with it and sign off on it. So we're waiting for that process to play itself out, and we'll release that to the public.
One of the things that has come out as this whole case is developing and continues to develop is our partner organization, Action Jacks, had done an investigation, and they said that more black drivers were stopped as a result of different things. And you had said, we're not playing race games here.
Right.
We're not playing race politics.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I can tell you, I knew from the minute I saw this, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I've been around here since 1991. We've gone backwards when it comes to not the agency and not how we deal with people, but how they perceive things and how they present things. There are nothing but a bunch of great people here. Do I think that there's not a person here that doesn't like a certain race of people? I don't know that. It would serve that there probably is, and I don't know until I know. I don't know until we find out. But I can tell you that when we go about our daily duties are about enforcing laws. People say a headlight out, not having your headlights on during inclement weather, oh, it's minor. It might be minor, but traffic is our responsibility. That's part of it. No seatbelt is a primary stopping offense. So when they mention this, they don't mention the seatbelt very often. They just talk about the inclement weather because it wasn't raining at the time and no headlights. And the officers didn't have their lights on. Well, when the lights are on a police car, depending on which one it is, the headlights flash. When the blue lights are on, the headlights flash. The car behind them, headlights were on until they did the stop. So there's a lot of things that go on that go involved in this, but it is never, ever about race. In most cases, when we stop cars, you don't necessarily see who the driver is. You can go back and pull up traffic stops and listen to the audio, and you can hear unknown driver, unknown occupants, because usually you can't tell from the back of the head. Sometimes you go forward, you know when you're coming forward, you see the light's not on. It's obvious then at that point. But I told everyone, I'm telling people now, that I'm not going to play the race game. There's sometimes there's going to be more people that are stopped and ticketed for speeding than one demographic. It's just part of the process. That's not how we do things.
When you say it's part of the process, is that part of the administrative process too, in determining whether or not an officer may or may not be at fault, or whether that investigation needs to be done? Do you look at that officer and say, hey, this officer does have a history of pulling more people over? Is it something you're willing to consider?
No, in most cases, depending on what side of town you're on. So if you work on the northwest side, typically if you're stopping cars, they're going to be African American. If you stop cars in Mandarin or San Jose, typically they're going to be Caucasian. If you stop cars around Toledo Road, you can have Albanians, you can have Africans, you can have Hispanics. It depends on where you are. And a lot of this stuff it's very easy to make an allegation and just throw it out there on the wall. And with today's social media, unfortunately it sticks more than it should. But I can show you factually, I think they said 62%, that's 6 out of 10. There could be 7 out of 10 being stopped for something else. It's just not what they make it out to be. It's easy to make that allegation because you want to create a public stir. You want people to be angry. I don't want people to be angry. I want people to know that we're honest, we're trustworthy, and sometimes this job is very difficult. Sometimes officers get shot, like Officer McCardo did just a few weeks ago, doing his job. And traffic stops are very dangerous. Traffic stops can be very difficult, but you have to, I won't even say comply because people get upset about that word comply. I'll say cooperate with us. Do as we ask you to do so it doesn't escalate. We always try to, and even if you look at that one, in that situation from start to finish, no one was rude. Very matter of fact, but no one was rude. Then you get a no, you get a door shut, locking doors. This changes things. Now, a policeman in his mind is thinking, all right, what's happening here? What's going on? Why is this being done this way? And they have to just follow it and see. But we're never going to leave. We're never going to back away and say, I'm sorry, you shut your door, we're leaving. It's not going to happen. We have a responsibility to this community to make sure when we go on a call, we do a traffic stop, that we finish it, we gain our compliance or compromise or whatever you want to call it. But we have to make sure we finish the job.
What, I guess 2 follow-up questions. What immediately comes next in this case, knowing that there is potentially pending litigation? And I guess the most immediate thing is, you said you put out the body-worn camera. Have we seen all angles? Is there any other video that you have as an agency that has not been publicized?
All the video that we have is on our transparency site.
Okay.
We gave you, what we did that day is we gave you the best views so you can see as much as you could. But all that stuff's on our transparency site. The stuff that they came out with yesterday,
That was a still image from the video that had been put out previously?
that's our video. All of it's our video, except for that small clip inside that car. But all that's our video, so nothing new.
And then what's next? The administration process? Just briefly, what does that look like, generally speaking? How long and elaborate of a process does that look like?
So they have 180 days. There's a time limit. And they interview, they talk to the officers involved, and they do those things. And after they finish, they write a summary, and they'll come up with whether he was guilty of a charge or not. And then they submit that up the chain of command. Undersheriff gets it, I get it, we read it, and we make a decision on how we're going to, if they're found guilty of some charge, we'll determine how they're going to be disciplined. So we're just waiting for that. That's where we are now. We're waiting for that process to make its way through. I'm not going to rush them. Accuracy is much more important than speed. So I want them to be accurate. I want them to be very detailed so that we can get to the bottom of if there are policy violations or if they're not. They have to be able to explain why there aren't. They have to be able to explain, what went on, why there is and why there isn't.
Given the national public attention now, you typically would come forward to announce what the findings would be. Is that going to change in any way, or do you plan to address it the same way?
I plan to address it at some point and tell people what happened. And my biggest concern is Jacksonville. I don't want any civil unrest. The reason I come out and I'm honest and listen, people can disagree with me all they want. One thing they can't do, even if they say it out of their mouth, in their heart, they know we're honest. They know we're getting information out to our public more than it's ever been before. They know that we created an entire section in this agency to address issues so that people can see what goes on inside this agency. This agency is the people's agency. I'm hired or elected by the people of this county, and they deserve information, so we're going to give it to them. And like I said, not everyone's going to agree. I mean, there's a bunch of people that disagree. But at the same time, there's a bunch of people that do agree with the process and what we're doing, and they see that we're making a sincere effort to get them as much information as possible.
For you as a man and the sheriff, where did that come from in you, the transparency part? Because I remember the campaign and all that stuff. You can easily say, well, that's campaign jargon and whatnot, but like for you, because you seem to live it, at least the perception is, where was that instilled in you, that need for transparency in an agency like this?
Well, being around here for the last almost 34 years now, you learn. You learn throughout the process. You learn that we're living in the information age, right? And this is no longer the thin blue line like this. You guys sitting inside the police station, you know, you guys are a news organization, but this sitting inside the police station talking to us, I think it's important. I think it's always been very important. And once I got here, I knew that 2 public information officers was not enough. I knew that we needed to have a way to speak directly to our public. So then we hired Vic Michelucci, and then we hire a bunch of people within our agency to work in our strategic communication section, so that we can get information out socially in social media, through our platforms, and allow the news media to get as much as we can give them. That's instilled in me. My dad was a 32-year military man, an honest man, a great man. My mother was a great lady. She died in 2006, but she's a great lady. I was raised to be accountable. I was raised to understand that in this job, I owe the public information. So we're going to give them information. And again, I recognize, Rich, I recognize that you're never going to have 100% agreement with what you're doing. And there's an absolute section out there that we can stop crime completely, and they're still going to want my head on a stick. It's part of it. I understand that being a public servant, but that's not going to stop me from serving. That's not going to stop me from telling the truth. And there's a passage in Scripture that I always think about when I do this stuff. And I know that the Apostle Paul said to the Galatians, he says, "Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" People are repulsed by truth when it goes against what they already believe. But my experiences tell me that there's no vast conspiracy to hurt people that look like me. It's never been that way. We don't stand in the locker room at the start of the day and say, let's see what black man we can mess up today. If that was the case, I'm gone. I wouldn't have spent 33 years here, almost 34. It's just not real. It's a false perception that's put out there, and what I want to do is try to end that false perception.
Does it feel like you're always swimming upstream though?
Sometimes, it does, but it's worth it. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. And me and the undersheriff, we talk sometimes, and sometimes you feel like that you're always trying to fight back. And why should we? We're a bunch of men and women that have signed up voluntarily, not looking for sympathy, not looking for pity. We've signed up voluntarily to serve this community because we love it. We like it here, and it's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. But I'm not going to be light on criminals, ever. I don't think there's any excuse, no matter what, no matter how you grew up, I don't think there's any excuse to hurt other people, to victimize other people. So I'm always going to be very hard on people that do that. It's just been built, it's built in me to serve. I think that I was born for this. My dad raised me the right way, my mother raised me the right way, and hey, the challenges come. We'll just keep working through them.
And there are some major successes that have come over the last several years. We'll visit with Sheriff TK Waters on that part of our conversation coming up in just a few minutes. From lower murder rate to significant efforts in gangs and drugs in Jacksonville. As we head back to school and get our kids back to school, we'll have a chance to hear more from Sheriff TK Waters about some of the efforts to keep the community safe. As Jacksonville's Morning News continues live at JSO headquarters, 927.